let's return to our top story, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. For more on Washington's response, we can cross live to the United States and speak to our Rise U.S. correspondent, Rotimi Kade. Rotimi, thanks for joining us on Newsday. So the U.S. strongly suggesting that Russia's plan on using chemical weapons in Ukraine. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, so the White House actually tried to, discard some of the conspiracy theories that has been in the news for some time now about Ukraine harboring chemical weapons, which the White House actually said may be a pretext, for Russia to actually invade or already, escalate the situation. But the White House is trying to say that there's absolutely the story to that, or the angle to that story is actually untrue. That the U.S. was actually not in support of the nuclear weapon laboratory that was allegedly found in Ukraine, and as a result, China is also raising alarm that if Ukraine is allowed to harbor a bioweapon nuclear warheads, obviously Russia might just be justified in invading the country and also to further escalate. But I think this is where the people are actually, many analysts are actually saying that if true that that sort of lab exists in Ukraine, then there should be some sort of common ground that our international community can have with Russia. From what we're saying, most likely are not going to back down until they get a hold of it. But yesterday, there was a hearing, the Relations Committee hearing, where on the secretary, Victoria Nolan, was actually interviewed by members of the Senate, and she did confirm that there was a biomedical facility in Ukraine and being supported by the United States to ensure that it doesn't get into the hands of the Russians. So you can see this kind of mixed messages that's coming from the administration, and I think it's quite unfortunate that we couldn't get even a much clearer picture of what's going on there.
Meanwhile, it seems the U.S. House has approved that big financial package for Ukraine. What sort of help does this include?
Well, actually, it includes a $3.5 billion in military assistance, including equipment, and also $3 billion in humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. Also, we understand that the rest is going to be evenly distributed to other sectors that the Ukrainians might need. It was really an easy pass for the legislators in Congress yesterday because of the current situation. But that's not just the only thing that was passed. Other things were passed alongside it. But that tells you also the urgency that the United States is willing to actually help the Ukrainian people in warding off, I should say, the threats coming from Russia. But nonetheless, I think there's still more help on the way because Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, actually said that more European partners should also emulate the United States in supporting Ukraine.
Rotimi, is there still bipartisan support for the president's response to Russia's invasion?
Well, I think there is some level of bipartisan support from both the Senate and the House, and also from Republicans and Democrats alike, because I think the vast majority of legislators actually frown against Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. And some are even calling from extreme measures, like, putting boots on the ground and, laying more stringent sanctions to the Vladimir Putin administration. But generally, I think the president can win on that level because the Republicans are also, on board with it. But the most difficult thing could be for the president in how to, if the U.S. in any way will engage in the war, we need an approval from both houses, and I think that could be an uphill task for the administration.
Arise U.S. correspondent Rotimi Kade, thanks so much for joining us on Newsday.